talking today. We have Sean Butcher from Shorter University, Pete Goss from Missouri Valley College, and Denise Peters from Highland Community College. After the panelists present, we'll have a question and answer session. I just also wanted to share with you that we have summer session courses ready to go in our Learning House library. So if you're thinking that it's too late to think about offering summer courses, these are the top 10 requested courses that we get for summer sessions. And the great thing about these courses is it allows you to not have to reinvent the wheel. So you have the bulk of your content already developed that we can customize with your learning outcomes, with your syllabi, and we can make a course for summer that's ready to go that you don't have to start all over. So if you're on the fence thinking, I can't do this soon, summer's right around the corner, please think about what Learning House can provide to you to make this possible, because we have an extensive library of courses that is absolutely stocked with general education courses that we can help you get these summer session courses ready to go. So let's go ahead and hand this over to Sean Butcher from Shorter University.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Sean Butcher. I'm the Director of Online Programs at Shorter University. I joined Shorter in the spring of 2009 to lead their online programs. This was a new venture for Shorter University. We hadn't offered online courses before. Our professors were familiar with Moodle. We'd been using Moodle for a while to take attendance and basically to assist in classes putting materials online. So our professors had some experience with, to varying degrees, with Moodle. So we weren't complete newbies, but we hadn't really offered any online classes beforehand. Our first online offerings were the summer courses, which we offered during the summer of 2009. That was literally 2 or 3 months after I joined. We launched our first degree program in the fall of 2009, and we now offer an associate's, a Bachelor of Business, a Master's in Accountancy, and a Master's of Arts in Teaching. And we have a few more programs we're planning for this coming fall and spring. As I mentioned, summer programs really were our first experience with offering online classes. It really helped us gain some important experience in what was involved in offering online courses, and gave us some time to get our instructors used to how to teach online. And also, as mentioned, since Learning House offers a library of online course modules which are ready-made, the kind of general education courses you offer in the summer, you can go with the Learning House modules and really don't have to get heavily involved into course design and thinking through those types of issues. You can really focus on the issue of instruction and how the kind of mechanics of offering online courses. So I want to talk a little bit about why we offered online courses during the summer. For anybody getting involved in online courses, if you're a newbie to it, summer courses are a very good way of getting buy-in from instructors. We had some degree of skepticism on campus as to online courses and whether they were the same quality as traditional courses. Summer classes really helped to alleviate some of that skepticism. It helped us create a pool of instructors who had interest and experience in teaching online. It also helped that instructors get extra pay for teaching during summer, so that really motivated them to get involved. And I think it really was something that helped us to overcome resistance within the institution towards online education, so it really helped us down the line when we started to introduce online degrees. It's also presents an important source of revenue for the university. Every summer, we saw a number of students who couldn't stay on campus for one reason or another, and they would go home and take courses with their local community college, and then they would come back after the summer and transfer those in. So by offering online classes during the summer, we helped us to encourage those students to take the courses at Shorter rather than at their local community college. So that created an important stream of revenue. It also has attracted a number of transient students from other institutions. As I mentioned later on, we use AdWords and other mechanisms to attract students from other institutions during the summer. They're also valuable to your online degree-seeking students. In previous years, we've been offering 2 8-week terms during the fall, 2 in the spring, and 1 in the summer. And we're actually moving now to offering 2 in the summer. That means that whereas before we, with 5 8-week terms a year, students taking the average load 2 classes per term could achieve about 30 credit hours. By offering another term during the summer, they can achieve 36 hours. That's really important from a recruiting standpoint, because often you're competing against other adult programs, and accelerated formats are very important to your competitiveness against other institutions. And by offering another term and allowing people to get 36 hours, we allow students to complete a 4-year degree in as little as 2.5 years if they were to take overloads. So that's an important selling point. Next slide, please. In terms of selecting courses, Learning House actually, if you look on their site, they have a list of courses that they recommend that do well in the summer, things like art appreciation. Also, you as an institution can look at the data from your students who are going home for the summer and then transferring courses back in. And you may find there are certain courses that transferred in very heavily. We found that history and math were very popular, so those were some courses we decided we would offer many sections of during the summer, and those have proved to be full virtually every summer, even though we're offering several sections. Other courses that have proved popular are things like social science and theater appreciation and English. Could I get the next slide, please? In terms of marketing, for the first year, we really marketed the programs to our traditional students. So marketing was pretty simple. We placed flyers and signage across the campus, and during the registration to let students know we had online courses available. For transient course students, we placed ads in the newspaper. We've been using Google AdWords to promote the courses, and we also sent out emails to various lists we collected, both of students who've inquired about your online degree programs or alumni lists or various other lists you can capture for other reasons. And the next few slides, I'm going to show you some of the types of advertising we've used. If you go to the next slide, the first one is a newspaper ad that Learning House put together for us with a simple tag, fast forward your degree online with summer general education courses, flexible, convenient, and affordable, and a link to our online campus, a phone number, and an online email. The next one is an example of an email ad we sent out. Again, the same message, fast forward your degree online, and that links to a landing page, which is the next slide. So we capture leads, and we give them a list of the courses that are being offered that summer. But the next slide is an example of the type of poster we put across, or sign we put across the campus, and that probably was the most effective method of recruiting students. We simply stuck that all over the campus. We also stuck flyers on the doors saying which courses were being offered, and that proved very effective in encouraging students to take online courses. If we go to the next slide, please. So what have we learned about offering online courses during the summer? We found that as our online degree-seeking students, the number of those students has grown, our need for available class seats has grown. That's a good thing, but we're finding that we're using a higher and higher proportion of our seats during the summer and during the term for online degree-seeking students, meaning that there aren't seats available for traditional students. Traditional students have priority, online students have priority over traditional students since they don't have any other options, and we want to ensure that they can complete their degree in as fast a manner as possible. The result has been that the number of seats we have available to students during the summer is becoming more and more limited. The same has occurred in the traditional school year as well. We're having to place greater and greater restrictions on the availability of seats for traditional students. The lesson I would say we've learned from this is you need to concentrate from the start on building up a sufficient pool of instructors to handle both summer courses for traditional and online students and to handle rapid growth. This is something we're still having to work through. We currently schedule classes through department chairs, but I don't think the system is going to be able to scale going forward. They're often not as focused on the needs of the online courses as you would like, and we really need to get ahead of making sure that we have an adequate pool of adjuncts and other faculty to teach online courses. So that's probably the major lesson we've learned. We found that summer courses have become a very important source of revenues to the institution. The number of students taking summer courses has jumped. We were offering them on campus in the classroom, but by adding the classes online, one of the concerns was that it wouldn't add additional students. It would simply mean that students would transfer from the classroom to online. While there may be some of that going on, that really isn't the overall picture. We have seen a significant increase in the number of students taking summer courses each year, and if we had more seats and more classes, I think we could see that growing even more rapidly. So that's all I have to say today. So were we going to do questions now or hand over to the next speaker?
Sure, we can open up some questions to you. We're still trying to work out a little bit of a technical issue we're having with Pete, so this would probably be a great time to ask the attendees if they have any questions for you, and type them in the chat box, and I'll facilitate that. So the first question, Sean, is from Kathleen. Her question is, were you able to increase the non-native students, those not currently enrolled at Shorter?
You mean through the transient course students taking courses? I wouldn't say those students typically enrolled in the degree program. There may have been one or two, but typically they would be people who'd stay enrolled at their institutions. So we'd typically see a student taking one or two courses over the summer, but then transferring them back to their institution. I wouldn't say it's a great method of recruiting full-time students, but it obviously helps.
Are there any other questions for Sean? Here's another question. If you see resistance from department chairs, would you advocate centralizing the teaching hires in a single office?
I would recommend that, yes, as you scale. I think it leads to a kind of an even picture when you have some chairs who are very much on board and some chairs who are not on board. It makes it very complicated to manage. I think teaching online has particular qualities and procedures you need to follow, and expecting a chair who's already full-time teaching, handling and managing traditional students, there's a lot to expect from them. They already have their full plate. So I think as you scale, it was useful going through the departments initially. It allowed us not to have to hire dozens of people to manage the program, but as you scale, I think you definitely have to consider there are a lot of advantages to centralizing. It would be nice to have some chair or individual who was very much focused on how professors were performing in the actual online classes, and were focused on issues of course quality related to online courses rather than the overall curriculum or what was required for the traditional students.
He actually has a follow-up question to his original question. It says, do you recruit your teaching hires externally, or do you use existing faculty at Shorter?
We use both. We use existing faculty. Obviously you have to have a certain percentage of the classes need to be taught by full-time faculty. I'd say about 60% of our courses are taught by full-time faculty at the moment. The rest are taught by adjuncts, and those are recruited by the chairs.
One thing that I wanted to just, follow up with from what Sean showed you is the marketing collateral that Learning House helped create some of it. That's a really important part of this. There's an article called Trendless Summer out of Inside Higher Ed from June of 2011. And they were talking about a school who started offering online, and they saw a huge increase just by doing a marketing blitz and having a different landing page to offer, to have students go to find out about the online enrollments. And so the online offering. So, just keep in mind that that's part of your services with the Learning House is to, that will help you design marketing materials like an online campus, a landing page, something that an email blast that you want to send out, and that's really an important piece of this summer session. And so make sure to talk with your relationship manager at the Learning House if you need marketing collateral for your summer sessions. We're going to go ahead and move on, if there are no more questions, to Pete. Pete, are you there?
I am.
Okay, good. That's the best thing I've heard all day.
Just give me a second to pull up. I've had to kind of, reboot a couple times, I think, to get this all figured out. So, all right, I am ready to roll.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Do I just, can everyone hear me? Is that?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Pete Gotchis. I think my official title is Associate Academic Dean at Missouri Valley College. We're located in South Central Missouri, and I'm responsible for online, regional, business, and community development. So 3 things that I'm going to talk to you about this morning are some of the strategies we use to market our online programs to our on-campus students, then talking a little bit about engaging faculty and teaching online for the summer, and then finally some of the unexpected challenges that resulted with my summer programming. So just a little bit about Missouri Valley College. Really, we're brand new to online. I think the year previous to my arrival, I started in 2012, January 2012. So, January 2011. So prior to that, I think they had 2 semesters of online offering using Moodle in-house to our on-campus students. So with my arrival, the plan was to actually not only offer online programming to our on-campus students, but then beyond the actual physical boundaries of the campus. So I was really brand new when I first jumped in. I started in January, so that spring semester I really had to actually market our summer program. So I'm just going to kind of quickly run through some of the strategies that we used. One of the first things that I did, I actually got an email from one of our marketing PR instructors for his senior level public relations kind of capstone class, looking for real projects. And so I was able to enlist his class in actually marketing our summer online. And so some of the things that the students actually did in conjunction with the instructor and myself, they went in and actually did presentations as students to other students on all of our high-density freshman level classes. So that was something they coordinated with the registrar and looked at classes that had a lot of students, and they went in and they actually presented to them about summer online, and they had developed some in-house marketing materials. We did email blasts to all of our on-campus students, and we did multiple email blasts, not just one, but several. We did cafeteria table tents just prior to and during the week of early enrollment, and in addition to the table tent, which I think is actually, you'll actually see, I think I have an example of that a little bit later in the PowerPoint presentation. I included the summer schedule as a part of that. And each day we would go in, particularly during lunch, which is really when we have the kind of the bulk of our students there, and would refresh those every day. The students actually set up a table outside the cafeteria during early enrollment and man that for about 2.5 hours every day during the week of early enrollment. In part because I was new, in part because of the class, I had the opportunity to actually get interviewed and filmed. And so, again, as part of our marketing PR department, we have a little radio station, we have an internal TV station. So they actually had my interview, and they played that several times throughout the spring semester, talking a little bit about our online offerings. Another area, here at Valley, we've got a huge athletics program. I think we've got all the major varsity sports. We have women's wrestling. We actually have men's and women's rodeo, and so men's wrestling. Thinking that there might be some opportunities to address eligibility issues, the students actually went and did a presentation to the athletic department. To go to these meetings monthly, and they actually were able to do a presentation to those coaches, and then we did kind of follow-up emails with the schedules to the coaches to make sure that they knew exactly how to get their student athletes enrolled in our summer programming. We had some really nice posters created. I think we had help with that with Learning House, and then we have a great public relations department. So there's an example of one of the posters that we actually set up. This is actually an example, too, if you guys can see this. We did a table tent like this also, so front and back, and several different size posters, and we did a mailing also. And I think that's a little bit later. That spring semester we did a mailing. We did a couple different mailings, one to students that had left without their degree, left or drop out for some reason, and then we also did a mailing to our alumni, letting them know about our kind of summer online programming. So those are just, I guess, some ideas or strategies for marketing online courses with on-campus students. The end result last year, it was a huge moneymaker for us. I think we offered 40 classes. We had one class cancel. It was an art appreciation class. So 39 of the 40 actually made, and it was a revenue generator and you know, really kind of helped validate online learning as a new revenue stream, which is really the reason that the college was interested in actually bringing me on board. So we did have a really successful summer, and we're doing something very similar this year. Some of the same approaches, essentially following the strategy that we used last spring. So next, engaging faculty and teaching online in the summer. Just kind of honestly, online is still today, a year later, isn't necessarily really particularly popular with, I'd say, the bulk of our face-to-face faculty. that we had a small percentage of faculty that really were excited about it. We had probably another 30–40% of our faculty that just were indifferent to it. I mean, were neutral. And then we had a small percentage of our faculty that really were opposed to online learning. And even in the kind of the middle group that I talked about were indifferent. They were okay with online learning, but as it related to their particular class, there was no way it could be as good as face-to-face. So I just kind of describe a little bit of the culture when I arrived here, and at least how I utilized summer offerings as an opportunity to maybe address some of that. One of the things that I did was actually I did presentations to all of our divisions in the spring, talking to them a little bit about online and offering to them if, in fact, there was a class that they were interested in offering for the summer, not as a part of their regular caseload. Our instructors teach 15 hours here. They're very busy. And so this is kind of a low-risk opportunity for them to create a class. And I did have a couple takers. We actually had our theater drama instructor. He actually created an Acting 1 class. We had our dance appreciation dance instructor actually created a dance appreciation class. From our physical education department, we actually had she's an athletic trainer who also teaches for us, create a sports psychology class. So the opportunity for our full-time faculty to jump in and actually kind of have an opportunity to taste what teaching an online class is all about. So I encourage you to do that if you have those opportunities. Additionally, we had several instructors that previously hadn't taught, for example, in the spring semester that were full-time face-to-face, but were interested in teaching online. And so we used, and I think in a couple instances, some of Learning House's off-the-shelf courses, which require a less work than actually creating a course from scratch, and then have them have an opportunity to kind of, make it their own, modify and teach. So we had some faculty that actually took advantage of that. Two other things that we did, an opportunity to experiment with courses that were previously unoffered. In our case, there were two: public speaking, which was very controversial. In fact, the communications department just didn't think it could actually be done. I was very fortunate to actually hire someone that had extensive experience teaching public speaking online. She crafted a class. The communications department vetted it. They had opportunities to actually go in and look at it regularly. And so we actually launched our first public speaking class online. And it was very popular, and we just kind of a sheer luck, we had some of the students actually working for us on campus. And so they kind of regularly would check in and kind of, talk to people about their online public speaking class experience, and it was very positive. And subsequently, the communications department has really kind of embraced and endorsed public speaking online, and they're totally okay with it. The second class that we offered online, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about this, my last section, is anatomy and physiology. And it didn't go quite as well as public speaking, but we did actually launch it. It did make, I think we ended up with 5 students, and we kind of muddled through it. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So other things that just in terms of getting your full-time faculty actually engaged that I think that they would find helpful is actually sitting down with them and actually kind of establishing some time frames and deadlines regarding what kind of needs to be done. Because if they've never developed an online class before, they don't necessarily know all the work that's actually involved. So that's one thing that I think would be really important. I think Learning House, I call it their faculty support package is great, and so Learning House does a really good job of, actively engaging with the faculty member and visiting with them early on, and then kind of regularly checking in with that faculty member, and so they do a good job on that end. Another thing that I kind of did, just because of the general kind of culture regarding online, anytime I had one of my face-to-face faculty had any kind of issues, I would respond very quickly or promptly, and then I would usually do some kind of a follow-up face-to-face visit. And so several faculty over the course of prepping for the summer would come in, and I'd show them, basically how to do some basic Moodle functions, all stuff that Learning House can also provide, but they just kind of wanted that personal touch.
Hey, Pete. This is Rachel Magalia at the Learning House. I just wanted to tell you there's been a couple questions. Somebody wanted to know the faculty that were opposed to teaching in the summer, was it because of contracts?
This is in response to a question. No, they're just imposed. They're just, to answer your question, it didn't have anything to do necessarily with teaching specifically to the summer, just online generally, because most of our faculty are older and they have had limited exposure prior to my arrival to online learning. They were very, very, very skeptical. And so to answer your question, it wasn't specific to the summer. They just didn't believe in online learning. So did I answer that?
Yes, and another question that we had was if you required any faculty training.
Okay, so actually what we've done here at Learning House, we don't, I can assure you, we don't require anything of our faculty, or very little anyway. So I just simply say that we did require that they complete the Learning House online self-paced Moodle course. So that's the one thing that we did actually require prior to their course launch date, to become familiar with Moodle, and there's a quiz that they actually have to pass as a part of that. And then the other thing that we actually did was encourage them to take Best Practices 101, which is, in my opinion, just a great class. And so those, one required, the other optional, but we've strongly encouraged our faculty to take that course. So how's that?
Great. Someone else asked if your courses were priced the same as your face-to-face, and how did students react to pricing? Okay,
great question. For the summer, yes, it was one price for all students, whether on campus or truly online, commuter, actually regional, all one price. And again, our summer online was very, very popular. In fact, it was kind of, I think it was planned. We have offered a limited number of face-to-face classes on campus, but I mean, through online, we were able to offer students a wide, I think we offered, ended up 40 classes offered and 39 that actually made. So, how's that?
Yeah, there was a follow-up question as well about the acting and public speaking class, about how you were able to create a successful online acting and public speaking class. That it would seem to be a face-to-face course. How did you do that?
I can't really speak to the acting class. It's just made. I'd have to even look. I don't know that it actually made. But the public speaking class, I can talk a little bit about that. Actually, the instructor requires students to videotape all of their presentations, and they're uploaded to the course homepage, and then she uses a peer screening kind of process, so every student has to actually go in and view every other student's speech and give feedback, and so discussion forums are actually kind of based around that. And I think she gave students 2 or 3 different options for videotaping and uploading their files. You know, many students are familiar with YouTube, and so I know that was one popular way of actually doing it. So you kind of have an idea now, I hope, of how that public speaking class was kind of structured. And
we have a good question here from Terry. Did you have to get the online courses approved by faculty committees, and was that a difficult process if they were reluctant to teach online?
Oh, it's a great question, and I'll just tell you, your next presenter, Denise Peters, and I both worked for Highland Community College, which is where I kind of got my feet wet with online learning. And so I actually came to a four-year college with a community college mentality. And in regards to freshman and sophomore level classes, initially I thought my charge was, to just go ahead and offer them. Because we weren't actually talking about junior, senior level classes. We weren't talking about offering degree programs, but just simply to begin actually start offering courses online. And so I did that, and yes, it created some problems. Early on, it was really probably a big mistake to actually do that without having actually gone through, we call them divisions here. But again, at the community college that I'd been at, we don't have formal divisions. We don't have deans or chairs, so it was kind of a new organizational structure for me that I initially very unsuccessfully navigated. So now, actually, it's a year later. I mean, all of the core classes, essentially what we've agreed to is that any new class that I want to develop that I haven't actually offered in this last year, so 5 semesters or so, 4 semesters, 5 semesters, then actually does go to the division for approval. So, for example, anatomy and physiology was, I'll get to here, and things that were unexpected when developing the program was kind of a big issue. I think I addressed that. So, for new classes now, yes, we actually go through the department, and actually we've gone a little bit further. Any instructor that I actually hire that is not either approved face-to-face, full-time, or adjunct, actually all those resumes get vetted by the division dean or chair, and they typically solicit the primary instructor involved in that, for that process also. I'm taking all of Denise's time, I'm afraid.
Well, do you want me to go ahead and the next slide, Pete?
Sure, I can go through that because I think this is probably going to be the most valuable, this last section here.
Okay.
And I'll go through it real quickly, and so hopefully maybe save people some wear and tear and pain. The first thing, and again, I talked to you a little bit about my background at a community college, informal divisions, no division dean or chairs, and so just didn't have the organizational structure that Missouri Valley College does. What we agreed to do is after that spring semester that the deans and chairs could actually simply tell me what classes they would actually like to see offered online for the following semester. So I got a request from the Dean of Applied Sciences, who actually has her doctorate in nursing, that she wanted anatomy and physiology to be offered in the summer. Okay, so in my mind, applied sciences, all one big happy family, and so not thinking that there were any kind of territorial issues involved, I just went ahead and said, great, I've got a dean chair that wants this class offered, I'm offering it, and put it on the schedule, put it on the web, and within 24 hours, then the science department, upon learning that I was offering A&P, which actually is a class that falls under the umbrella of their program, they were very, very, very upset. And so it was probably a 2 or 3 month process to sort through all those issues. Something that I've learned, I really think about, particularly because so many of our programs require a class that actually falls under the domain of another division or department. I'm just kind of here at Valley, I need to pay attention to that. And so if, in fact, there's a class that's requested by a dean or chair that actually falls in the domain of another area, I need to make sure that I visit with all parties involved before moving forward. So that was one. Second, I'm sure many of you have dual credit programs, and we actually have a traditional dual credit program where we actually hire the high school instructor to teach, high school students classes like public speaking or college algebra so that they can actually earn college credit. We actually will, pay the high school instructor to do that for us, and they actually do it in the school. And so as a part of our traditional dual credit, the school really takes care of a lot of that. The textbooks are provided to the kids. There's actually a set schedule that the students will actually show up and take their class. Essentially all they have to do is fill out an application form and pay. Well, many of our surrounding rural areas no longer have instructors that meet our minimum qualifications of a master's degree. So we've started in the spring of last year of actually offering online dual credit, and so it's been really successful. We had a pretty good second 8-week spring last year. Many of those students then wanted to actually take an online class in the summer. So when the summer, and we had probably 15, 16 kids that actually signed up who were high school dual credit kids that signed up for college classes in the summer. Well, it's a very different kind of proposition in the summer when they're treated actually like a college student. And so if, in fact, that's a possibility, you might think about that. I spent really the better part of a week talking to parents who were furious that they actually had to buy a textbook now, that the students were responsible actually for logging in regularly. I think, having looked at it, something we might have anticipated and be able to provide parents and students with more information to kind of make that process a little bit easier. So those would be 2 examples, and I'll sign off.
Pete, I have this next slide up for you. Did you want to go over this?
Sure. Okay. One thing this is actually, I talked to you about the anatomy and physiology class. This is the lab kit, or I don't think it looked exactly like this, but pretty comparable. This is the lab kit that our A&P students were required to buy, separate from the textbook, separate from actually, the fee associated with the course that they used for their anatomy and physiology class. And actually, this slide was part of the presentation that I did to the science department to at least kind of educate them about offering science classes with labs online. And I ended up doing a lot of research on this. Just for those of you that are getting ready to kind of, that this is new to you, they've been offering science classes with labs online for 20 years. And so a lot of good research out there that actually, shows that it can be done, and our science department was pretty skeptical about that. So anyway, I just thought they might, for those that haven't yet done that, there's a couple, I think, lab packs and eScience Labs both offer these lab packs that students can buy and have sent right to their home.
And one quick last question that we had for you, Pete, was someone wanted to know what type of department you fall under or who you report to. Like, how is the online structured?
I actually report to the Chief Academic Officer at Missouri Valley College. So I report directly to her, as do all the deans and chairs. Actually, on our flow chart, it looks like I'm above the deans and chairs, but the truth of the matter is I'm several steps below them, as I like to remind them regularly. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Pete. And we're going to go ahead and we'll save some more time at the end for more questions if there are any that we didn't get to. Now I'd like to introduce Denise Peters from Highland Community College.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me also?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Yes, I'm Denise Peters, and I am the Director of E-Learning at Highland Community College. So we are a community college, so our setup is a little bit different than some of you attending. We started online classes the fall of '07 and have been going strong ever since. We have been partnered with Learning House from the start. Before we decided to jump into online, we did much committee work on looking at what we needed for our program, what was expected, how other schools were doing it, what was going good, what was going bad, so that we felt that we could jump in and do it right from the start. And that's one of the reasons that we did choose to partner with the Learning House. I have 4 things to talk about. The first one, course selection. Like both Sean and Pete have mentioned, when we look at our course schedules for summer, we're looking for those strong general education courses, things that we see steady enrollment in during both our fall and our spring enrollments, and classes that are very transferable. Since we're the community college, we are keeping our own students, but we also want to serve the students that are coming home for the summer or are going to be traveling in the summer, and their home schools don't have the online course selections. So we want to make sure that we have classes that can be easily transferable back into their home schools and their degree programs. Pre-nursing is a huge area. We're located in Northeast Kansas, and pre-nursing is very huge in our area. So a lot of our offerings do tend to make sure they fit that program. And then, honestly, some of it just depends on instructor availability. We use a variety of full-time campus instructors who are available to teach for us in the summer, and then a large selection of adjunct instructors. If you want to move to the next slide. Like both other gentlemen, we use flyers as our main source of communication, and this Learning House creates for us. We do require, we use the same tuition for summer as we do for fall and spring semesters, and it is a few dollars higher than our face-to-face classes. And our face-to-face classes, we provide textbook rental, and online the students are required to buy them. So that is the difference in our online pricing, but we do not provide any additional discount in the summer. And the next slide is a listing of our courses for this coming summer. So you can see it's not super clear, but that we do have a good selection of classes. We are to the point where we do also have, we're about 80 classes, and we will need multiple sections of some of those courses to fit our student demand. We do an 8-week session in the summer. In the fall and spring, we offer a 16-week session and then 2 8-week block sessions on top of that. So we are comfortable with the 8-week format. And like the others stated, we did have some hesitation from mainly the science area offering those types of courses in an 8-week session. But I went back to data showing that we do that in the face-to-face setting in an 8-week session, and then we did some block classes and then used our summer data to show the success rates of students in those types of courses. They actually, for sciences at Highland, the 8-week sessions have a higher success rate than the 16-week sessions, which is kind of interesting. The instructors would justify that by saying they keep the students exactly on task. There's no time to doodle between assignment due dates and those types of things, which causes them to be more focused and get through the material successfully. The next slide is finding students. Highland has basically 4 types of locations. We have our main Highland campus, and then we have 6 regional sites. We have a tech center. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. And then we have our online programs. So most of our students are our own in the summer. When we started in 2008, we had 374 students with about right at 1,000 credit hours. Last summer, we had 857 students in online classes with right over 4,000 credit hours. So we have quadrupled our enrollment over those 3 to 4 years. Most of our students are Kansas residents, though. 91% of our enrollment is Kansas residents, and then 6% is Missouri. So finding students hasn't been a very huge issue for us. They come to us, I guess you could say. Again, because we're the community college, we do have that easiness of finding our previous students who did dual credit with us and having them come home for the summer. Coming home, they might take a regional class and they might take an online class. If we go to the next slide, We do focus on our website. Currently, our website runs banner ads across the front, and here's our latest one for HCC Online. So our campus students or our tech center students who aren't aware of our online program, this would allow them to see that. As Rachel stated at the very beginning, it is more convenient for students to stay at one or two schools because it is the hassle to redo the financial aid process and the application for admissions process and sending in those transcripts. So we see a lot of students from our state universities that come back to us in the summer, and usually they don't just come back for one summer. They come back for 2 or 3 summers in a row, and word of mouth spreads to their roommates, sorority brothers and sisters that Highland offers online classes, and that they can, come back to us. We also find that helps us capture some of those students during the fall and spring semesters also, where they take their full-time load at their home university, and then they might pick up 1 or 2 classes online or at one of our regional sites. So we do want to make sure that for those students who just come back, every other semester or every summer, that they don't have to restart the whole application process. They just have to make sure their email and their address is up to date and current, and then they're able to get right back into their account and enroll. And then at the end of the semester, that it's just that one transcript request form that they fill out to get their classes transferred back into their home school. We also do focus on the concurrent and high school dual credit, not in the same manner like Pete was saying, where they're offering those students while they're still in high school. We use those mailing lists as students who've already graduated from our area high schools in Northeast Kansas and gone away to college, that they're going to be coming back home for the summer, many of them, and that we can serve them while they're back. They're comfortable with us. They've heard about us. They can do online classes, but yet they know they're in a drivable distance to one of our face-to-face facilities or offices. So if they need assistance, they can reach us in person, not just always over the phone or via email. And those are really the main ways we attract students. So our own students who are going home for the summer, or our Northeast Kansas students who are coming back into our area for the summer. The next couple slides are just additional ads. We open our enrollment in March, and so this was sent to all Highland students and ran as a couple newspaper ads just to encourage them, our schedule's open, enroll early. Some of our classes do fill up, so just reminding them we do one for spring and one for fall. The next one is the Facebook. Facebook is an easy way to reach people, or Twitter accounts. And so we make sure that we post our information on that to gain some interest. And then the next one is just an ongoing ad for, we run on our local cable television stations. And most of those are actually free to us here in the area. And so that we just throw into our local communities, and so that just puts our name out there even more for our local area. Okay, the next slide, setting courses and due dates. We can go ahead and move to the next slide also. One thing that we have found that students want to know what they're getting into, and they want to know up front. So we post our calendar very early, and we email our students often. We are already, of course, enrolling for summer. We have probably about a fourth of our enrollment in, and we're already reminding those students and staying on them about making sure they're prepared. Our classes are not self-paced, and actually we find that our students do not prefer the self-paced class. They want those due dates. And so not only do we have our Highland due dates, but we have our instructors getting their class due dates ready at this time so that students jump in there on that first day and they know exactly what to expect. We often do get questions from students about, I'm going to be traveling for 2 weeks, is that going to be a problem? I need to start my class a week and a half late because I'm not going to have internet access because I'm going to a summer camp. We actually discourage that. So I guess we could say we aren't very user-friendly yet in that area. In a quick 8-week session with due dates, it isn't we don't make it very easy to make exceptions to students because we do want those focus students who are going to come in and get the work done. Our classes are not set up so that a student can do it in 2 weeks, so we expect them to be available for the full session. But we are looking at some other ways to adjust to be more user-friendly to students with alternative schedules, not just in the summer and students, but also like military-friendly requirements and things like that. Highland does have pretty strict login requirements for students and then participation record keeping, and so we post those up front, and then we also remind them about that. Our instructors are given access to courses approximately 30 days out so that they can begin making edits and adjustments, and I give them a series of deadlines, kind of steps, to making sure they're prepared for their classes. And students, we don't give them access until about 4 days before. And at that point, they can only see the first lesson in their course, which includes their first day handout syllabi, their class schedule and assignment listing, and the Moodle student tutorial, which we encourage them to do. So we don't let our students see the course fully before it's ready to start. Highland also requires that all students are paid in full and have all prerequisites verified before they get access to the course. And I know that varies with the partner schools. That's just our internal policies, and so the way we control it is we don't authorize batch anybody into the Moodle system until we've verified they've met those requirements for us. We've found that it's more work for us to go through them, but it's easier to never let them in than to let them in and then have to take them back out and explain to them why we're taking them back out. The next slide is just reminders. Especially when you're first starting a program or a new type of course, whether it's an 8-week course, a 6-week course, a 5-week course, intersession courses have been very popular for us over the December-January term. Just to remind them, email is what we use the most, and we use their Highland email, and we use their personal email addresses on file. Again, like I said, we start June 4th, and we have about 300 students enrolled, and we're already reminding them just with a weekly email of what we expect of them. Buy your book now, be prepared, this is how it's going to work, the pace of the class. This one is what we send. This one we would send after classes start, the last day to drop. The next screen is our Moodle login requirement, so we remind them, you know, the days before. This is from spring, of when they have to be logged in and have started their course by. If not, we drop them. And then the last one would be sent at the very beginning of the term, that we're getting ready to start and you haven't made your payment yet, so you know we're looking for you. We want your money, I guess. Some of those we design ourselves, and some of those Learning House designs for us. We do send all of those email blitzes out ourselves at this point, and again, we utilize personal and Highland email accounts for that. Okay, that's the majority of mine. What questions are there?
Great, that's great, thank you. So any questions, if you could go ahead and type them into chat and I'll facilitate this. We did have one question that was asked earlier that is open to any of you answering, which was, how did you select which courses to offer? How did you know that they would be successful?
For Highland, we looked at the courses that had been most successful during the fall and spring semester before our first online summer offering. And again, just what we know would transfer. Good, solid social sciences and humanities classes that are going to transfer easily to other schools. For universities, I would look at those common courses that are required across the board for most of your degree programs. Maybe courses that are full, often during the semester. Kansas State University is near us, and we find we get a lot of accounting and microeconomics students that are K-State students because they often fill up too quickly at K-State. Students miss out on getting in, and those are courses that are prerequisites for junior, senior year business majors. And so we find that if we can offer those, they also will fill up with us because those students missed out getting enrolled in it at K-State. So if any of your departments have classes that, you know, they don't have enough seats for, then maybe you could help fill some of those needs for them.
Right, and from our end, we always say that the best way to get started for choosing your summer courses is to not only look at what your most popular courses are right now that you offer, you know, during other times of the year, but to also look at the most commonly transferred in courses at the end of the summer. Those are great places to start figuring out what courses to offer.
At Highland, we also do offer some courses online that are not offered in our face-to-face setting. So maybe they're not the most popular courses, but they are classes that transfer or that have a high interest of students. But at our face-to-face locations, we just don't have the faculty, either the faculty that's approved to teach that curriculum or the time in their schedule to teach that curriculum as a full-time instructor. And so we've picked up some of courses that have become very popular and high demand for that aspect.
We have another question that says, we liked seeing when enrollment began, but when do you start advertising the summer schedule?
At Highland, we start March 1st, but we have talked about trying to start that earlier.
Just a little bit earlier. I think we started, I want to say February 17th, somewhere at the second half of February is when we actually started marketing.
Yeah, we started doing around mid-March.
Are there any other questions? I'm going to give it a few seconds here to see if there's any other questions. Okay, it looks like there's not. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. It's a really great topic to discuss because summer sessions are so important. This slide is just, I want to talk to you about our Connect conference that's coming up July 10th and 11th. It's a free conference. Please go to our website to register. It's going to be a great networking opportunity to meet with other people that are getting into online or have been doing online for a long time. We have some amazing keynote speakers this year, Dr. Casey Green, Doug Lederman, and Jonathan Grayer. So please take the opportunity to register for that because it's a really great opportunity to learn about what's happening in the industry and what we do at Learning House to support it. If you also could take the time to complete the webinar survey, that would be great. Your opinion really does matter to us, and we want to continue doing these webinars on special topics that would benefit people starting out and getting into online. That will be emailed to you later. So thank you again so much for your participation, and we'll hopefully see you in another webinar coming up.
Thanks, guys.